Hello. It says we're live. And we are. I just got to turn that ever so slightly. It got bumped. Bothers me when things are out of place. All right. So it looks like my sound is working. It looks like I'm all plugged in. Sorry I'm late. I had to set it back a couple of times. You know how it goes. This, that, and the other. Let's just roll right into it. There is a absolute poop fest of a tsunami of TMI, I think, being manufactured to drown out what I believe is a huge, huge issue that could just tear the world apart. And it's amazing to me how, if that's true and accurate, what my thought process is with this, how women are like the Achilles heels of the men. It's the same old story. It's like the ancient Greeks. It's Romeo and Juliet. It's all of it. Love stinks. I mean, if you can call it love, lust. But I was thinking, I've been through the blues, the reds, and the pinks. I've been through it all, and love stinks. Right, Anna? You know that one. Jay Giles band. So let's get rolling. How are you today, sweetheart? Thank you so much for coming in. So I'm guessing you can hear me. I have my 3 little notebooks today. I got a lot in my head. I do have a good amount of time finally today. I've been so crunched for time lately, and that's been a drag for the video making. So please hit that like button if you can. And make sure you're still subscribed. Turn on your notification bell to ring, and share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like it. Tranquility now. I never read this side. I got to remember tranquility now. That's what the yoga is for. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform, and I hope that I can learn something. My aim is to educate myself and maybe others in the process. Yes, I remember that one, Anna B says. And I'm just so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that I'm here. I'm so happy that we're here and that I can pin your message because my cursor keeps working. That was weird how it was like on the blink and now it's not. And, you know, I had taken it to Best Buy 3 times and it still wasn't working. And then it just decided to fix itself. Maybe I fixed it, right? Oh, so yeah. I'm so curious what you think, Anna Bees, because I know that you and I think a lot alike, and I don't want to be connecting the dots where there's no connection, but it really seems to me that the situation with Virginia Guiffre, I hope I'm saying her name right, and the other victims of Epstein and Maxwell and whoever else was involved. We know there are a lot more. We know some of their names. Oh, what is that one guy? Ron Eppinger. You've heard that name probably. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'll tell you what I've learned about Ron Eppinger because I haven't really known that much about him other than that his name was familiar. He was indicted in the year 2000 for running a ring, and Virginia Guiffre was part of that ring when she was 13 years old. Ron Eppinger, basically, he was her pimp. And this was way before, this was the abuse that they talk about that happened at age 13 to 14. So when she was 7, she was abused by a family friend. And then eventually she ran away, maybe when she was like 11 or 12. She hitchhiked all the way to San Francisco. And then I think she came back, and then she was scooped up by this Ron Eppinger for maybe a couple of years. And then by the time she was 16, she was reunited with her family, and her father had that job at Mar-a-Lago. He was like a maintenance engineer, I think. And then he got her a job as a locker room attendant, and she was 16. So, they fudge with the years too, because they want to use it to their benefit. I call it the fuzzy math. We always hear that things started with Virginia when she was 17, with like Epstein and Maxwell, because then you can say, oh, well, she was close to 18, right? But no, it was when she was 16. But let me just make sure that I did my disclaimer that everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, and learn something and be educational. I'm certainly not here to slander anybody. I'm here to find the truth. And if I have reason to believe that it is true, or if I'm simply asking questions, that's not considered slander. That's considered free speech. So there's a huge difference. And I think it's important that we all know that, because oftentimes people will threaten, oh, well, I'll sue you. And you can't sue somebody for expressing their opinion unless they're just completely trashing you based on absolutely nothing. They have no reason to believe any of what they're saying is true. And essentially, they probably know it's a lie, and they're just doing it for sheets and giggles, right? So that's not what this is. This is about trying to find the truth. Like, I want to know what happened to Virginia Guiffre 2.5 weeks ago at her ranch property in Australia. Did she take her own life? Because she certainly had been through a lot. And if she was ever going to do that, it seems like she would have done it before she was 41 years old. I mean, the things that she'd been through as a young kid, as a young teen, as a young woman. This was a very, very strong individual, Virginia Guiffre. And she had active lawsuits. I've been doing the deep diving, but there's so much information, so I'm still learning. She was set to testify in a trial. I don't think it was the Diddy trial that's going on right now either. But we also know that our dear leader hung out with Diddy, and he hung out with Little E. And all these people knew each other. Weinstein was one of them too. And there's a lot more. Those are just like the big names. There's a lot more. I mean, of course, you got Prince Andrew, and there could be other royal family members involved. And it just gets really dicey really quickly. And everybody is basically told or understands to just shut the F up. And, snitches get stitches, and people disappear. In fact, is the third witness in the Diddy trial, are they found yet, or are they still disappeared? I don't know. I'm not following that trial that closely yet. I'm really interested in what's going on with dear leader, that's in sarcasm, with North Korea, in line with North Korea. And I'm really interested in, like, today, I believe he fell asleep in a meeting with a royalty from the Middle East. I mean, yesterday he was just going off the deep end about how stupid people wouldn't accept a $500 million airplane. But if you're not stupid, of course you'd accept a $500 million airplane from complete thugs. I mean, he's denounced these thugs himself in the past. But man, he's such a money grubber and power drunk, as I keep saying, that he just can't see the forest through the trees. And once you get into conversation with someone about accepting a gift like that, you're screwed if you do, you're screwed if you don't. Because if you accept it, you basically owe them your life. And if you don't accept it, you've just insulted them fundamentally. So this is why you don't get involved in the first place. So he's involved, and it's my opinion that he's doing these crazy things like that, making these big splashes, these loud announcements. Oh, I want to reopen Alcatraz. This is all happening right after Virginia Guiffre passes away. And I put the link in the description from my short video yesterday. I got to apologize for that short video. I made like 1,000 mistakes. I had to go into the description and try to clean it up. And I snipped out just like a 30-second part. But I only snipped out the one part. I just went ahead and tried to explain myself. Mrs. Amir, only 10 minutes late. Hello, my dear. How are you today? So, yeah. Alcatraz, sharks, $500 million jets. What other spaghetti can we throw at the wall to try to talk about anything except for the woman whose name he shouldn't have known when he was asked, do you have anything to say about Virginia Guiffre? And he said, oh, yes, I do. It's so sad. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but the fact that he knew who this person was and the fact that he already knew what had happened to her is mind-boggling to me. Again, this is the guy who pretends he doesn't know what's going on with the military when there's lost soldiers. That was another mistake that I made. I said Libya or Lebanon, and it's Lithuania. Yeah, Lithuania. So me not being the world traveler, it's hard for me to remember which is which, but now I know where they all are and everything, I think. Lithuania, Libya is in Africa. Lebanon is like right there with all the Arab nations. And then Lithuania is up north. It's a European nation. So those 4 soldiers that went missing in the marsh in their vehicle, and it sounds like the vehicle sank in the marsh and they just didn't know where they were for a few days, and then they found them and they were deceased. Was it that simple of a mistake? I mean, that's a pretty insane mistake for military to make. They are well prepared. They know what they're doing. They're professionals. There's many of them. They're all tracking each other. It sounds fishy to me. Just like it sounds really fishy to me that they keep rolling their jets into the freaking Red Sea. You guys, I got to know what you think of that, because I'm not buying it. I'm thinking they're giving those jets to some people to use them to fight some wars. Maybe Vladdy, maybe somebody like Vladdy. And then they're like, oh, slipped into the water again. Dang it. 8 days apart. 2 within 8 days. So each of these are like $60 million. Then there was the one in December. So that was 3. So we had one in December, one at the end of April, one at the beginning of this month. But there was a 4th one too that they try to hide. It's really hard to find any mention of it. So the 4th one was before the one in December. And I'm trying to remember what happened with the one in December. I think I have it in my notes. Anna B says, I think you are correct. Well, good, because sometimes I think, okay, I'm just a lunatic. I'm just over here making connections where nothing connects, and it's all just a cluster F-wad of quinky dinks, and I got to quit thinking that anything means anything, right? One of the ways that criminals get away with things is that we are all too busy living our own lives to really track what these thugs are doing, whether these are like small-time criminals or war criminals. And then there's that chaos factor. That's where they throw out all the chaos and all the distractions. Like, oh, let's open Alcatraz. Let's shut down the Kennedy Center. Let's plan a $100 million parade where the tanks will break the streets in Washington, D.C. and pretend we don't care. I mean, this is all real stuff that they're doing all simultaneously. When I say they, I'm talking about dear leader and his sycophants. And man, he's lost a lot of sycophants. Did you guys hear that Laura Loomer has kicked him to the curb? He's going to be heartbroken. She was probably the best skank he had. Skank number one. Yeah, she made a very reasonable post about it too, where she said some really smart things. She's not a dumb person, but she's twisted. She's very twisted. And then for El Presidente to keep saying yesterday, oh, only a stupid person wouldn't accept a $500 million gift. It's like only a stupid person would think that you can accept a $500 million gift safely. Hello. Let me let the dog in. One sec. Come here, baby. Hi, Cuckoo. Oh, and how exciting. I think I heard some thunder. You know how much I like thunder. Maybe that's why Coco came scratching at the door. Come here, baby. Because she doesn't like the thunder. I think I heard the thunder and then the scratch at the door. So it all means something. Well, it's so insulting when people try to say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. And that's the idea. The idea is to insult you and to embarrass you and to try to get you to shut up. And in any situation like that, I have always literally deep down hoped that, yeah, I'm just a crazy person, that there's just no way these things could be related. There's no way that a man in his 70s would have his ex-wife fall down a flight of stairs the day before his depositions. The deposition for him, Don Jr., and Ivanka. So that was another place I made a huge mistake in the video yesterday. You guys probably caught it. Fortunately, I said July 14th of 2022. That was the day that Ivana fell down her flight of stairs. And then a second later, I started saying January. So obviously I meant July. And thank goodness I said July 1st, because when I first caught the mistake, I didn't hear myself say July 1st. I just heard the January, and I'm like, I was so flustered because I was so tight on time already. And then there was just a lot going on. I've got that teenager, the drama llama, who's graduating in a week. So he was setting small fires around the house. And then it was interfering with the beginning of starting my video and with the ending of my video. And then, yeah, like I said, I made a few mistakes. So the one was the Lithuania. The other one was transitioning July 14th of 2022 to January. So no, we're talking about July 14th, 2022, the day that Ivana fell down the stairs. And then interestingly enough, there was somebody who posted about it. Oh, Ivanka made a Mother's Day post, and one of my mods sent me the Mother's Day post and said, read the comments. And so I did. I read every single comment that there was. So let me just read a little bit of it to you. It's sweet that Ivanka made this post on Mother's Day. So this was published May 11th, 4:55. Somebody wrote an article about it. Ivanka Trump honored her late mother, Ivana Trump, by sharing rare childhood photos nearly 3 years after the matriarch's death. So this coming July 14th will be the 3-year anniversary mark. But now, July 13th will be the 1-year anniversary mark of their father almost getting his brains blown out, allegedly. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. If that was like a semi-automatic gun, like, no, that's not how the bullets are. They basically explode. They explode what they touch. So, I mean, we've all heard the stories of the school shootings with these AR-15s. I mean, they shred through. Yeah, trigger warning. It's not like a bullet hole like you see with a handgun or with a pistol or with a rifle. It's a totally different animal. So, anyway. Today I'm holding close the beautiful memories of my mother, Ivana. Her strength, humor, love continue to guide me every day. Very sweet. Ivanka wrote via Instagram on Sunday. I feel her presence in so many moments, especially as I raise my own children. And yeah, that does really like hit home when you're raising your own kids, for sure. I'm also deeply grateful for my grandmother, Bobby, who fills our home with wisdom, grace, and unconditional love. Ivanka, 43, continued, referring to her 98-year-old grandma. I'm thinking that she's talking about Ivana's mother. I'm not 100% sure on that. Bobby, who's 98 years old, so one of her grandmothers. So it definitely cannot be her dad's mom because she passed away 25 years ago. And then it could be her mother-in-law or like her husband's grandmother, but it's probably Ivana's mother, which really had me curious because Ivana was 73 and her own mom is still living today at 98, and she would have been like 95 about when her daughter died, which is so sad when the parents are not supposed to outlive the kids. It's just not the natural order of things. It's always sad when you lose somebody close, even when you're expecting it, even when you've had time to say goodbye. Anyway, let me keep reading. Her quiet strength is a gift to all of us, and I cherish the bond she shares with my kids. She's talking about the grandma. I love grandparents. They are the bomb. The socialite concluded her heartfelt post by thanking all the mother figures who pour love into their families. And some wonderful pictures of Ivana, some of the best that I've seen. And then it says Ivanka included several photos of herself and Ivana throughout the years from childhood to adulthood. A few snaps also show Ivana with her grandchildren. Ivanka concluded the photo carousel with snaps of herself with her husband, Jared Kushner, and their 3 kids, Arabella, 13, Joseph, 10, and Theodore, 8. And yeah, Ivana and Ivanka are just so beautiful together. And how sad that she lost her. Oh, I'm going to have to post this picture. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the way the lighting is. I'll put this article link in the description too, and then you can see this picture of Ivana. Like, she looks absolutely adorable to me. She's sitting on a pink bench with a pink feather hat and a pink sundress and adorable pastel earrings. And I literally just think it's like the coolest photo that I've ever seen of her. One of the coolest photos I've ever seen of her. So here the article ends with Ivana died after falling down the stairs of her New York City apartment on July 14th, 2022. She was 73. An autopsy obtained by the Post revealed her death was accidental, noting the fall resulted in blunt impact injuries. Her ex-husband, President Donnie Trumpsterfire, mourned her death via Truth Social at the time. The politician referred to his late ex-wife as a wonderful, beautiful, amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life. And I would agree. Her pride and joy were her three children, Donald added, referring to Ivanka's sons, Donald Jr., who's 47 right now, and Eric, who's 41 right now. And that would make Ivanka 45. I think there's a 2-year age difference between her and Don Jr. Let's see, Don Jr. Yeah, anyway. Donald and Ivana were married from 1977 to 1990. So he met Marla Maples allegedly in around 1984 when she was around 21, 22. Again, it gets some really fuzzy math. Some places you look, it says that they met in 1986. Other places it says 1985. Other places it says 1984. So it makes you wonder what's actually true. And she was only 23 when they started dating, which I think they started dating in 86. Because then his marriage, I believe, with Ivana was, the divorce was concluded in 91. No, it was concluded in 90. So he might have started dating Marla in 85. But anyway, 5 years that the marriage continued while he was having the affair. So I know that Ivana knew about it, but I don't know when she found out about it. I know there was like this big dramatic scene. I think they were like skiing in Tahoe. They were on a family trip, the Trumps and the kids. So mom and dad and the kids. And then Donnie, in his infinite wisdom, had his concubine shack up somewhere nearby so that he could continue actively in the affair while he was on this family vacation. And then Ivana ran into Marla, and she knew who she was. She knew that she was having an affair with her husband, and she made a huge scene. And that probably happened in 89 or 90. And then that's when the divorce was like done, right? And then the baby, the pregnancy, dang it. They got married in about 92. The baby was born in 92. So that was another mistake that I made yesterday. I said the baby was 2 years old when they got married. The baby was 2 months old when they got married, and that would be Tiffany. It's so hard to keep up with these people that live such effed up lives. I mean, I have trouble, honestly, keeping up with my own self and my own kids. and we live a pretty simple, straightforward life, fortunately, because you just don't need monkey wrenches like that, do you? I mean, life is challenging and dangerous. In case you noticed, my fingers bandaged up. Right after I did my video yesterday, I thought I had a minute to cut a slice of watermelon before I had to run off and slice the watermelon. I did with my finger, and then I had to go to the urgent care. So that's what that is. It's okay. It didn't need stitches, but it's not good to be in a hurry. Everything is so dangerous. Everything is so dangerous. That's what I mean. It's like, even when you keep it simple, things just get out of hand so quickly, So anyway, back to the whole philandering thing with Marla Maples. They weren't married for long when things were out of control because, I mean, let's face it, Donnie Boy is out of control. He's a serial, I'd just say he's most likely a sex addict. Like, to phrase it as a question, like, is he addicted to assaulting women? Because it certainly sounds like it. I mean, even in his own words, you just grab him by the presidency, because when you're a dictator, they let you do it. That's a little twist on it, like on what he said, but a joke that I used in one of my thumbnails where Putin was saying it. I just grabbed him by the presidency because when you're a dictator, they let you do it. You know, that whole thing was so freaking gross. And then, they tried to turn it into some trophy. Like, oh, yeah, it's just locker room talk. I'm so brave. I'm so brave for having locker room talk. And no, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Let me read your comments. Right. Thank you, Annabees. You are correct. There's laws against accepting large gifts like that. Right. And yeah, there I was breezing right over the part of the Constitution where it says real specifically that you can't do anything like that. Vieja, hello. ING, Jazz, and all in chat. Glad to catch you live this AM. Hi, Christine. Oh, is Vieja Christine Herman? Is that the deal? I seem to remember that. Never did buy any of it, Vieja says. Yeah, we can't see it. Oh, the picture of Ivana in her pink feather headdress. Like I said, I'll put the link to the article in the description. And it's such a cute picture. I'll probably put a post of it on my community tab. Let's see. SoCam typing isn't very good at times. I know typing when you're like trying to do too many things, or if you don't have your glasses on, for me, it's very annoying. Yes, the party of moral values, LOL, right. And the party that backs the blue or beats the blue. Yeah. But I seriously don't think you can get it up. Well, that's a moot point when you have Viagra, right? You don't need to be able to. You just take your meds. Sorry, I squirted water on you. Did you guys see that? Good thing you're not here in person. That would have been really rude. Let's see. Yes, it'd be me. Oh, okay, cool, Vieja. Yeah, I remember that now. Christine Herman and Vieja. I remember when you made that transition. People his age and plus his body type are usually not able to even pee right. Well, yeah, what is it? The not the pituitary gland, that other thing, the prostate. I mean, my father-in-law died of prostate cancer. And yeah, the prostate, he was in his mid 80s, I think. And the prostate health is central to a long life for sure, and urination and pleasure. So you're absolutely correct on that, of course, because not only are you very wise, you're also a professional nurse, so you know these things. I was going to read you a couple of the comments of this article. Let me see if I can find them. I don't know if I can. They were there yesterday. Where are they now? It's weird. It doesn't look like I can go to the comments. Huh. Well, if I can't, I can't. Oh, actually, there it is. There are 78 comments. And, some say nice tribute. This one says, I would think if she loved her mother so much, she would have had the death of her mother looked into, because the story, quote, she fell down the stairs, unquote, is very suspect, just saying. And then this person sounds like a paid troll almost, jumps in and says she did fall down the stairs. She developed a hip problem later in life and did not attend to it. She needed help walking. She did not have an elevator in her home, as many advised her to install. She drank a bit. That's how it happened, not sinister here. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute, because she had just competed in a Dancing with the Stars, I think in 2018. So 4 years earlier, she did a Dancing with the Stars competition with her most recent ex-husband in Italy. So that's pretty serious. I don't think you'd be able to do that with a hip problem unless she developed the hip problem from the competition. But if she had a hip problem, why in the world would anybody allow a 73-year-old wealthy woman to live alone with a giant flight of stairs if she had trouble walking? And again, very wealthy. She would have an elevator if she needed it. You can even get those little chairs that go up and down the stairs that, just attached to the wall next to the stairs, right alongside the stairs. She would have had nurses. She would have had friends and family around her. So I think that's a crock. I think that's an absolute crock. But I think there's a couple more good responses to this. Thank you. It was an accident. She had years in loves after Donald. Right. But every single one of them is deceased. Did you forget? 3 for 3. 3 of the Italian lovers. 2 of them she tied the knot with, the one she didn't. And then the first man she married before Donnie may or may not be alive still. That's what the internet says. May or may not be alive. Oh, plus she had an autopsy. Well, and we all know that you can't possibly pay off a coroner, right? There's no kind of money or influence that could make any coroner do anything shady. Autopsy will not show anything except she hit her head or something hit her head. Nobody knows how she fell or if she fell down the stairs. Maybe she was hit on the head someplace else. And then someone says, drank a lot. Always blame the victim. Well, you were part of her everyday life, so you would know, right? At least, okay, another comment. At the very least, have her body buried somewhere respectable instead of on a golf course. And then someone else says, Trump got a tax deduction. Note the weeds and unkempt grass. MAGA. And then somebody says, mind your own business. Well, this is our dear leader, so it is our business, you F-wad. Okay. I'm going to read a couple more. There were some that really stood out to me, so that was some of them right there. Here we go. Mean and nasty comments from keyboard warriors who don't know what it's like to have a mother who had your back. Ex-husband has no bearing on a child mourning the loss of her mother. Sad your people never had the type of mother who loved you through thick and thin. Must have been awful for you during your childhood and young adulthood not to have that guidance. People just are whack. And somebody says to that person, get off the cross. The people need the wood. And then somebody else says, you have plenty of wood sitting on top of your shoulders in between your ears. It's a good one. Talk about keyboard warriors. How badly did you anger the censors to make 3 attempts to insult me that this is what you had to go with? Ha 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 ha. And then Cosmic Gal says, until Ivana, devoted mother of 3, gets a decent burial, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear it. And then the Raven says, her mother was a wonderful, beautiful woman. She didn't deserve the disrespect her husband gave her, but she handled it all with class, which she did. And pointing out the obvious, they said something really funny. I remember that handle. Ivana recalled in a television interview decades ago that 47 didn't want his firstborn son to be named after him. She said he asked her, what if he's a loser? Ivana said it was not negotiable. Some dad. Then Kaboom says, well, I don't blame him. What if Don Trump Jr. grew up to be a Democrat and was racist, anti-Semitic, and a perv like all Democrats are? It would be very embarrassing. So wait, racist, anti-Semitic, perv. Of course, there's some Democrats that are like that, but it seems like the high-profile Republicans are all like that right now. I mean, look at Hegseth. Perfect example. Racist, anti-Semitic, complete perv. Okay. Oh, but he's so good looking, so it doesn't matter. Max says he isn't. He just grew up to be a cokehead, shoots exotic animals for money instead of sport, cheat on his wives like his daddy, and has participated in the biggest market manipulation in history. So not too bad. And then someone says, so you're saying he's just like Hunter Biden without the 6 convictions? It's just so funny. It's like, people, let it go. Yeah, Hunter was a criminal. Okay. No one reports Hunter, but if it makes you feel better to include him in Junior's wayward behavior, then by all means. Also, Biden doing it doesn't negate Junior doing it. Sending oh no's and anyways. And then the retort, the rebuttal, the refuddle. There we go. You can stick your unasked for oh no's and anyways back up from where you got them, from the same place out of which you fart out your opinions. Oh, that's cute. I think that one is new since I read through these, because it says 16 hours ago. Here's another new one, 4 hours ago. You're going to have to grab ankles if you want me to put them back from where I got them. I don't know what that even means. And then the same person says, they literally donated to the Clintons and Kamala because they were Democrats. Oh, that's 21 hours ago. I did see that one. So that one was 21 hours ago, but they just made that other comment 4 hours ago about grabbing by the ankles. They literally donated to the Clintons and Kamala because they were Democrats, which is true for anybody who doesn't know that about Donnie. You people who team sport politics are very strange and not in a good way. And let's see. I like this one. Ivana was a really nice lady. Donald's loss. You know, I mean, sometimes you can just keep it simple, but this is a good one. Anyone believe she fell down the stairs? Any morons believe that she was pushed? She was alone in the house. That's one of my favorites. She was alone in the house. Really? What proof do you have that she was alone in the house? Were you there? If you were there, then she wouldn't have been alone in the house. Did you see the videotapes? I don't know. So anyway, that's a good one. Any morons believe that she was pushed? That's a pretty typical way to do in somebody. But also to say, oh, well, they're elderly, they just fell, when, you know, she wasn't elderly. She was 73. She was in great health. And the other thing is, you don't always pass away when you fall downstairs. You can fall down a flight of stairs and survive. I mean, I knew somebody who fell down a flight of stairs completely drunk and passed away. But it was basement stairs and it was cement where he landed. So, I mean, it might have been marble where she landed for all I know. But anyway, this is a good response to it. OMG, if she was a wonderful, beautiful, amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life, why would he stray like an alley cat with like Marla Maples? And remember, Marla Maples was 23 when they admit to the affair beginning. So in my opinion, it easily could have started well before that, maybe even before she turned 18. And who knows? I mean, who the F knows? Anyway, allegedly they started when she was 23, 22, 23, and he was like 39 or 40. And then the answer to the question is because he was a pig. um, and then his age and her working for him, it gets complicated. So I don't know if that comment is talking about Marla Maples working for Donnie, because I don't know about that. This is a good one. I loved her commercial about divorce. Don't get half, darling, get everything. Yeah, wasn't that like a halftime commercial during the Super Bowl? The Trump related women are beautiful. His granddaughter Kai is beautiful, like her grandmother and aunt. Yeah, that's cool to think of Kai, the 17-year-old, as Ivana's granddaughter. And then her aunt is Ivanka. But then her great grandmother is still alive too. What does Starbucks Karen have to say? Love isn't burying someone in the corner of a rundown golf course surrounded by overgrown weeds, unattended, ignored, and forgotten. Yeah, thanks, Starbucks Karen. That's pretty straightforward. And let's see if there's a few more interesting ones. I'll try to speed read through them. Oh, here, that's a good one. I'm glad I didn't stop yet. Fell downstairs, another Epstein Island casualty. That's from latest spread. And then J. Dobbs says, in a remote corner of the Bedminster, oops, I accidentally made it skip. Oh no, what did I do? That was annoying. These things are so heat sensitive. I think I can get back to where I was though. And I'll keep up with your comments too in just a second. I don't want to get too many things going at once. I liked that handle called Pointing Out the Obvious. Very funny. I'm almost there. Yeah. In a remote corner of the Bedminster golf course is Ivanka's grave. They meant Ivana. Surrounded by weeds and unkept grass, which is why the article features no photos of it. Trump gets a tax deduction because of it. How fitting. Yeah, he's like obsessed with not paying his taxes. I know a lot of rich people are, but I mean, greed is just so ridiculous. The law's the law. I mean, you can get a good tax attorney to get all the tax shelters and savings that you need legally, in my opinion. I mean, that's what tax attorneys are for. um, isn't it time for the New York police to publish some more surf photos? Come on, it's been 2 whole weeks. Isn't it time for the NYP to publish some more surf photos? Come on, it's been 2 whole weeks. I'm not sure what that means from Salt Shaker. If anybody has a idea, I'll read up on your comments right now. Yes, my daughter had a chair to go downstairs basement in her house, Anna B said. At least he is following in his dad's footsteps. My husband fell down basement cement stairs and lived. He was drunk. Well, I'm glad that he lived. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, a lot of people fall downstairs and injure themselves without losing their life. Ivana was an accomplished, beautiful, funny, charming lady. You can watch her delightful interviews on YouTube. Oh, yeah, she was a very sharp businesswoman. Max says, you guys might like this one. I wonder why Trump was never arrested for pushing Ivana down the stairs, then burying her on his golf course. That's funny. And And then let's see if there's any more. And yeah, there's okay. This is a good one. Nice and simple. Keep it short and sweet. OMG, Trump is an imbecile. And somebody says yes. And then Francine says, "You must love that Dumbala couldn't get more votes than him, LOL." Well, she might have gotten more votes than him. The reviews of the election look like it was tampered with. They never did the election hygiene. They never verified the election officially. But now that people are doing it unofficially, what they're coming up with is definite tampering. Definite tampering. But either way, every election is like that. Somebody's going to win and somebody's not going to win. But I wanted to share with you guys too that before the election happened, like right before it happened, as much as I was fearful of Donnie winning, all of a sudden I got really fearful of him not winning and throwing a hissy fit that would make January 6th look like child's play. So I was more concerned about him not winning, even though I didn't want him to win. I just thought, oh man, if he doesn't win, it's going to be bad. And he won, I think, illegitimately, and it's been really bad. But I still think it might have been worse had he not won. Who knows? Woulda, shoulda, coulda. And somebody says barely won, 47 barely won with a whopping 64% turnout rate, meaning 30+% stayed home. You must be so excited to be a national embarrassment with the entire world laughing at us. I bet you adore the profiting from office he's doing. Like the plane from Qatar, literally prohibited by the Constitution, people like you make me think civics tests should have to be passed before one can vote. It's funny. Let's see if there's any more that are worthy of pointing out to you guys before I wrap it up. And this is a good one. Bronx Girl just says, losing your mother is so hard. Praise of healing. I'm sure they meant prayers of healing for Ivanka and her brothers. Losing your mother is so hard. And if your father had anything to do with it, that's 1,000 times worse, in my opinion. Is Woody Allen guilty of abuse? That's the name of this handle. And they have a question about him. And we don't need to talk about that one. And so, but then is Woody Allen guilty of abuse? Has this other comment. Ivanka allowed her mother to live her last years alone in a vast house, not what I call a loving daughter. Where were all the nurses and home help workers for her mom? Ivanka is a fake. So I don't really agree with the part about being a fake, because I don't think that she really needed people to live with her. I think that if she did, she would have had that. But somebody responded she didn't want anyone living with her. But no, if she needed help, I'm sure she would have. But then this person, Mary Claire Corcoran, says if she loved her mother so much, why did she let her be buried at a golf course and in what appears to be an unmarked grave? Disrespectful. So I agree with that, but I also think that the children might be scared of their dad or scared of getting financially cut off by their dad, or both. Um, let's see. This is a weird one. Marie S. says, Ivana was so beautiful and a great mother. President Trump has great success in choosing Ivana and Melania as his mate. Only mistake was Marla Maple. I disagree. I think Marla Maple, she's just as worthy as the other two, but I don't know. I don't think I just don't think that he's the catch that he thinks he is. And I think that they all married him for his money. I mean, if he didn't have any money, do you think any of the three would have married him? I doubt it, in my opinion. I don't know what this one means. Emma MDF, about time after she and her lover daddy pushed her down the stairs. That's twisted. If they're saying what I think they're saying, what it sounds like. There's just a couple of more. After reading all this, it's kind of hard to believe she would let her loving mother be buried on a golf course. Not even any grass on her plot, just dirt. Falling, and then somebody else says, falling downstairs to death sounds sus AF. And then Tom Luden says, not really. She'd probably been drinking. I don't know. I think that when somebody passes away, again, blame the victim and trash the victim and then try to make it seem like it's all normal. I don't know. That's not cool. Even if she was drinking, it's like you don't need to shame her for enjoying a few too many and having an accident. I mean, if somebody passes away like that, it's still shocking and sad. Absolutely. Don't be disrespectful, damn it. Amazingly, Ivana Trump's mother, Marie Zalakova, is still alive at 99. That's funny. It's the same person that said, not really, she'd been drinking. So that's Tom Luden. So yeah, I mean, if you believe in genetics, then Ivana probably had another good 26 years left in her. Right? It looks like that was the last comment. The last one there, although they're out of order because of the replies and stuff. So I hope that was interesting for me to share that with you. Alcohol relaxes the body. Yeah. And so sometimes that'll help somebody survive an accident like that. Like drunk drivers that get in really bad car crashes and everybody else passes away, but they don't because of their floppiness. Although I do know of a situation here in the Cincinnati area in Ohio where a woman was at the amusement park, Kings Island, and she was really drunk and she just like slithered right out of her seat of a roller coaster and she fell out, I think, in front of the roller coaster and then was ran over. I'm trying to think. It was the same night that two other people passed away at the same amusement park. I think like 30 minutes apart. It was just like a cursed night. I should look it up online. Um, the other two people were just like walking through some water and got electrocuted. And they might have been employees. And it might have just been like flooding over the walkway, or it might have been a man-made lake, but it was like just about 30 minutes apart that there were three fatalities at Kings Island. Let me look that up real quick because that just fascinates me. um, Three fatalities, because yeah, they'll go years without having a single fatality. There was a fatality there this last year, a guy who went to try to get his keys. He hopped some fences and his kids were waiting for him. It was really sad. Three fatalities in a day at Kings Island. Deadly day at Kings Island with three deaths. Today in history, June 9th of 2023. This was published. The day was Sunday, June 9th, 1991. So 3 deaths, 1 hospitalization. The Cincinnati Enquirer. Deadliest day at Kings Island. The day was Sunday, June 9th, 1991. 3 people were killed and a 4th person was hospitalized in a bizarre sequence that involved 2 separate incidents a little more than an hour apart. About 8:30 p.m., Timothy Bining, 22, of Marymount, was crossing a wooden walkway near Beer Garden Lake when he reached over to splash some water and was jolted by a shock and fell in. His friend, William Eddie Heathcote Jr., 21, of Oakley, and park security guard Daryl Robertson, 20, of Hamilton, both jumped in the water to save him, and both were fatally electrocuted. Only Binning survived, hospitalized with burns on his arm and neck. That's crazy. Investigations by electrical experts and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration determined that the men had been shocked by a surge in an aerator pump that did not have a functioning ground fault circuit interrupter. OSA fined Kings Island $23,500 for 7 safety violations. That same night at about 9:45 p.m., Candy Taylor, 32, from Toledo, dropped out of a gondola on the Flight Commander ride and fell 60 feet to her death. The ride, which opened in 1990, had 22-person pods that circled a central tower. Ooh, I've been on this ride. Yikes. Riders could use a joystick to make the capsules go up and down or roll 360 degrees. No, maybe not that ride. Taylor, who had a blood alcohol content of 0.3, according to the coroner's report, had slipped through the ride's restraints into the empty seat, which did not have restraints in place. When the pod was upside down, she fell out. Officials blamed a design flaw. Kings Island modified the restraints and seat dividers, and Flight Commander resumed operation a year later until the ride was closed in 95 and dismantled. So, yeah. I grew up going to Six Flags Magic Mountain in Southern California and Disneyland a lot. And every once in a while there would be a fatality at those places. So it's something that I find very intriguing. Very sad too. People go to have the time of their lives, especially people that don't get to go to the amusement parks that often, like I did. I mean, I got to go to both of those amusement parks many times a year, to the point that I got completely sick of Disneyland, which I find impossible because Disneyland is just cool. I never got sick of Magic Mountain because it's Magic Mountain. But anyway, yeah, I mean, people that don't have the luxury of going there often and they take a big trip and they spend all this money and then they have their one day and then they have something horrible happen. I remember a couple on their honeymoon was just riding around at Disneyland and the like gondola, like a slow ride that is just like a scenic ride to like see the whole park. And somehow I think it malfunctioned and it dropped them and the couple died on their honeymoon. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I mean, you hear a lot of those stories, but I remember a couple of years ago, there was a family who took their little tiny kids to Disney World and their 2-year-old was eaten by an alligator while they were watching a movie with their other toddler, which is completely crazy because it was an outdoor movie and they were sitting near the water and you have a 2-year-old near water. Like you don't take your eyes off of that 2-year-old, but man, alligators in Florida, it's nuts, is it not? Absolutely nuts. Let's see what else. There I go. Hands no good today, Vieja says. Muscles. Oh, I'm sorry that it's problems with your like MS or something like that. I think that's what you shared a while back. Yes, it does, Christine. He was lucky. So Christine Vieja had said alcohol relaxes the body and relaxes the um glad he lived for you, Anna. Thank you, Christine. But he did pass from pneumonia in 2012. Yeah, pneumonia is horrible. Like your lungs filling up with water. That's just nuts. I'm so sorry to hear that, Anna. Vieja says. Thank you. Did it have anything to do with the cough? No, Christine, it was 2012. Um, yeah, I mean, it can happen from a lot of things. It can be um, totally unexpected and random. People can have walking pneumonia and not even know it. That's terrible. I'm scared of carnivals and amusement parks. I am too. We had another horrible fatality here in Ohio, in Columbus, a few years ago. And this was, I'm especially afraid of like the traveling carnival rides because they fold up and go down the road and stuff. So they're like more rickety. And people were in line waiting for a ride that like I think had you like dangling from a swing and then spun around. It had like all this stuff going on. And then one of the swings came loose, I think. And then the person that was in the swing hit a couple of people that were waiting in the line. And I think a 20-year-old guy died. That was at the Ohio State Fair, like maybe 3 years ago, maybe more. It was awful. It was so sad. And they showed it all over the news. I'll find a link to that and try to put it in the description for anybody who's interested. It was just awful. Awful, awful. All the maintenance Matalago requires and can't take care of Ivana Nasgrave is a shame. All the maintenance Mar-a-Largo, I know what you mean, Vieja, I can read that. I thought that was probably Mar-a-Largo. Um, all of the maintenance at Mar-a-Largo that Mar-a-Largo requires and can't take care of Ivana's grave is a shame. Well, so I looked it up just a couple of days ago. Donnie owns 14 golf courses across the globe right now. And my guess is that he's going to own a heck of a lot more than that by the end of his presidency. He is so freaking insatiable, just unbelievable. And everybody wants to give him these favors, and he wants everyone to give him these favors because he's just a megalomaniac like that. So, you would think that 14 golf courses would be enough to look after. Um, I don't even know how many different countries they're in. A handful of different countries, I think at least 4. Of course, our country and Scotland and probably the UK and probably an Arab nation. But what I didn't realize is how horrible golf courses are for the environment. I'd always kind of heard that, but I didn't really know why. And I came across a lot of information about that while I was trying to figure out how many golf courses he owned. And yeah, they use like 500 different pesticides and herbicides, and then the water runoff. And, especially when they put these golf courses in desert areas like Vegas, which I'm sure he's probably got one there, or, in the Saudi Arabia area. And then there's already a water shortage, and then you have a golf course with grass that you're trying to keep green and you're trying to like overwater it. It's just nuts. It's really, really bad for the planet. Like I always thought that was just like people who hated golf just had an aversion to golf courses, that they would say that. I didn't realize the facts around the matter. I stay away from amusement parks. Scares the H out of me. Yeah, I get more that way as I get older. When I was younger, I loved every single roller coaster ride I could get my hands on again, again, again. And yeah, I'm not so much like that anymore, but I do still like some of them that are pretty tantalizing. But yeah, for the most part, I'm like, I don't need that. Also, I get motion sick. So yeah, I get more motion sick as I get older. Agreed, Christine, but it's in New Jersey, not Mar-a-Lago. Right, but the rest of Bedminster is really nice. If you've seen pictures of it, it's as fancy gets. I mean, that's where they were that night that the federal attorney, oh, what's her name? Was it Jessica Aber? Aber? Jessica Aber, the 43-year-old woman, federal attorney from Virginia that passed away in her sleep. Remember that? And that was the night that Elon was at Bedminster with Donnie and all the other goons. And he built that little like asterisk sculpture on his finger and was holding it for way too long. All the spoons and the forks. Remember that night? I just thought that he was making a spectacle of himself. Like right away when I saw photographs of that, before I knew anything about this person passing away, I thought, was he instructed to do something to go viral so that everybody's attention would be on him being at Bedminster? And then this other thing I found out a day or two later that happened in Virginia. And at first, I thought coincidence, right? But it just turns out that Jessica Aber, who had just resigned from her position that Biden had appointed her to, she had only resigned maybe not even 6 weeks before, because it was like inauguration day. What was the day of her passing? Um, but she specialized in corruption and cryptocurrency, which I think should be called kleptocurrency right now. And she'd been investigating Russia. So her date of passing away was March 22nd, 2025. So 8 weeks after the inauguration. And she was known for prosecuting high-profile cases involving organized crime and national security. Let's see, is that pretty much all it says? Maybe a little bit more. Nominated by Biden in August 2021, Aber was confirmed by the Senate October 5th, 2021, sworn in October 12th. Her tenure included several notable cases, including prosecution of an MS-13 leader for multiple red rooms, indictments against Russian nationals for operating illicit cryptocurrency exchanges, historic war crimes charges against Russian soldiers for actions in Ukraine, the conviction of an Israeli national for the smuggling of non-citizens into the States, and the conviction of a former CIA analyst for leaking classified information. Interesting. That's just what Wikipedia has to offer about that. Let's see. You would think that maintenance would take care of the gravesite. Yeah, you would think that they would put a nice tombstone, at least try to make it look like they're taking good care of it. I mean, you could have a nice little bench and a garden, and you could have whatever you wanted. I mean, but it does give you the property. If you make it a cemetery, you get a tax write-off. It's like tax-free. So there you go. My guess. Oh, okay. I guess my brain was on vacation. I will never go to Florida. Neuropathy, misspelled again. Yes, the swings are so scary. Yes, very suspicious about Jessica Abers. Yeah, very suspicious about her. And And then, um, that connection too that I happened to stumble upon a few weeks ago of Melania's birthday being April 26th, and that China shipping container ship that crashed into the Baltimore Bridge last year on April 26th. And then, just with all this scandal with China and shipping, and then that was also 2 or 3 months after Mitch McConnell's wife's little sister, Angela Chan or Chow, um, had her Tesla accident on her own property, basically. And she was a billionaire shipping magnate from her family had a China shipping business. So I don't know. I think she died in February. I want to say it was February 11th of last year, but um, she was the younger sister of Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, who was the first person from Congress to resign after J6. So Donnie had already had issues with her. He already called her McConnell's crazy Chinese wife or something like that. I mean, she is a very renowned, accomplished professional. She did a lot with her career. She was also on the board of the Kennedy Center when Donnie fired everybody. So I wondered if that played into his decision there with the Kennedy Center. But I think he was also pissed at the Kennedys because Caroline Kennedy wrote that letter recommending not to put her cousin or uncle, RFK Jr. I think that's her uncle, to not put him into that position. And, RFK Jr. is estranged from his entire family, and she was the only one willing to speak out publicly against his nomination. And that was just so sick what she shared about him putting baby birds and animals in a blender to feed his scavenger birds or hunting birds that he kept in captivity. I should have done a trigger warning before saying that. Sorry. Trigger warning, retroactive, 30 seconds. um, Good reason not to own a Tesla. Yeah, I can never remember what the thing that they put over the windows that makes it so you can't break them. It's like the plastic. Oh, what's the word for that? It drives me nuts. The plastic sealed glass so that you can't break the glass. It's one of those brain farts that I have almost every time. Tesla window unbreakable. And then the whole thing with the doors locking if your car's on fire, submerged in water, or even if your battery is low. Um, what is it that they do to them? There's a name for that. Laminated. Is it that easy? I think it is. Laminated glass. But I can never remember. Dang it. So funny. So yeah, like I said, in learning about that whole accident that she had, um, I think she even had one of those window breakers, like all of us thought we needed to get after Kylie Rodney's incident happened. I think she had one of those actually, and then um, she was trying to break the window before the car even sank, because I think it took like 2 full minutes for the car to sink. And while it was sinking and she's calling her friends that were just right there on the land, that whole thing. And, it just seems like these cars would be very easy to drive with a remote control. Just like Christopher Skinner's high-tech wheelchair in the Micah Miller case would be really easy to manipulate with a remote control and have him go right into a swimming pool when he's strapped into his freaking wheelchair. And I guess they're reopening that case, which is great. Let's see. Where are we? Very sus. Plexiglass. Well, yeah, plexiglass is probably not glass, right? Plexiglass is probably plastic. So yeah, I think it's laminated, and I think that that's the word that I am always not able to come up with. But there might be another word for it too. Basically, where the glass is sealed with plastic. So yeah, I'm glad they are reopening that case. I know. Well, maybe they should also reopen the Angela Chow case, right? Maybe there's more to that story. But yeah, the thing with Chris Skinner, definitely, absolutely. I mean, for Micah Miller's husband, JP, to be having an affair with Christopher Skinner's wife, Susie Skinner, for a few years, and then both of their spouses unalive, just a couple of years apart. How convenient. How Lori and Chad Daybell, right? Gross. True, I was just spitting out words. Oh, I appreciate your spitting out your words, Anna Bees. Yeah, plexiglass was a good guess. Very good guess. Yes, Angela Chow case too. Yes. Yeah. Okay, what else do I have in my notes? Because I had a lot. Um, I just keep learning more about Virginia Guiffre, Jeffrey Epstein, Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell. So yeah, I really wonder about the fighter jets that fell into the Red Sea. What, just 2 weeks ago? The last one was just like a week ago, I think. And then the other one would have been about 2 weeks ago. I really wonder if they actually fell into the Red Sea because of human error, or if that's just a story and they're being loaned out or gifted. Especially with this $400 million gift of a jumbo Boeing jet headed towards Donnie. I wonder if he gave away some airplanes. You know. Oh, and I wanted to say I get so sick of the new cryptocurrency, which I think should be called kleptocurrency, that they call stable coin. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like the most unstable currency or market. You're going to call it stable coin. That's like so 1984, double think, double speak. It's like, oh, well, if it's called stable coin, then it must be stable, right? So I read an article in the Wall Street Journal. I'll put the article link in the description where, and this was just like a brand new article. It was on Rosie's Insights. She was reading it on her channel last night. Brand new Wall Street Journal article that called Elon Musk Trump's advisor. Pretty wild. Oh, and he has a boring company. Not a company that's so boring that it puts you to sleep, but a company that bores holes underground. It makes me think of the ending of The Incredibles. He's got one of those. And so he just got a mammoth contract with Dubai to bore a worm loop is what they call it for their like a subway tunnel system, an 11-mile tunnel network. Oh goodness. So Epstein's arrest, when he was arrested the first time in the early 2000s, and then Alex Acosta made that terrible, terrible deal for him. I mean, it was sweet for him. It was absolutely a nightmare for the 40 victims. So the 40 victims were reportedly between the ages of 14 and 16. 40 of them. And guess what? They were being fuzzy with their math. There were some that were under 14. 13, 14, 15, and 16. And he and his attorney said that they were all prostitutes. And so technically, he was charged with um, being a John, basically, without mention of their ages 13, 14, 15, 16, 40 of them. None of them were notified of the plea agreement until after the fact. None of them. And one of them sued the freaking government for that. But I think that her case got dismissed, which is hideous. Completely crazy. But so he got sentenced to 18 months. That was his sweetheart of a deal. He only served 13 months before he was released. He got to be basically sheltered at a non-jail, just like a building where they kept him. They called it jail. And he was on work release the entire 13 months. So 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, he didn't even have to be there. And then when he was on house arrest for a year after his early release, house arrest, the man owned 4 houses, one in Florida, which is where they were charging him with the crimes, one in New York, the Manhattan 7-story mansion, and then the one in Santa Fe, the Zora Ranch, and then the Epstein Island down in the Caribbean. So when he was on house arrest, he got to stay at all 4 of his houses. Isn't that sweet? Poor guy. So disgusting. So disgusting. That fuzzy math just kills me. Absolutely kills me. And so Alex Acosta, that put together the plea deal, had been the Miami U.S. attorney at the time. He granted immunity to the 4 other co-conspirators, and then when he got appointed to be Trumpster Fire's Secretary of Labor in the first rendition of his presidency, in his first term, there was a lot of opposition to Alex Acosta because people found out about what had happened with Epstein. And then he got sworn in anyway, just barely. And then he was basically forced to resign 2 days after Epstein got arrested. And then there was somebody else who got convicted. I'm wondering if it was one of Ron Eppinger's convictions that happened a few days after Epstein was found deceased. I don't know if I put it in my notes. I'll have to look. Um, I kind of don't think I did get that into the notes. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Man, I have been making it a pointed effort to not be following the Idaho 4 case. What a poop fest that's becoming. I've got something to say about it, though. All these new photographs that they're releasing of the criminal defendant are definitely manipulated, where they make his nose look so creepy and so disgusting, and they make his face look so creepy and so disgusting that you think he looks like the freaking Grim Reaper. Of course he did it. But that's not that's Photoshop. Like, that should be illegal. That should totally be illegal. But I think that it's just it's how they do things. Like, we all remember when they put OJ Simpson on the cover of Time magazine and made him darker skinned than he really was. That was terrible. Okay, so I think I covered everything from the tiny notebook. Let me double check though. So remember recently I mentioned that Don Jr. or Eric had two significant others that both slept with his dad? There's no easy way to say that. Allegedly. Vanessa Trump, who Don Jr. was married to, dated Don Sr. prior to even meeting. That's how she met her future husband, was from dating his daddy. Is that so disgusting? And that Vanessa Trump is now divorced. That's Kai's mom. And now she's dating Tiger Woods. Remember that whole scandal with his wife in the golf club and her trying to help him escape the vehicle, right? On Thanksgiving. That was insane. Okay. So the other female that they shared is that I told you guys this before, and everybody was just as shocked as I was. Kimberly, oh, how in the world do you say her name? Guido? Kimberly Guilfoyle, right? Kimberly Guilfoyle. So she was engaged to Don Jr. until recently, kind of recently, and then he was cheating on her, and then they shipped her off to be the ambassador to Greece, I think. Which, sounds fancy, but it's kind of like a joke. It's kind of like, giving somebody the basement office, or, reassigning them to janitor work or something, I guess. But Kimberly was also previously married to Gavin Newsom, which is just mind blowing to know, like, the inner workings of these people and their histories together. And I said this before, but I'll say it again. When Melania and Donnie went out on a tarmac to meet with Gavin Newsom right after the Los Angeles fires, and Gavin kissed Melania on the cheek, and even though she was wearing a hat, she put her cheek out so that he could kiss her. And it just seemed like a very, very warm greeting. I had no idea that uh, Trump's son had been engaged to Gavin's ex-wife, right? So all of them would have known that, all three of them. But Donnie having an affair with her, allegedly, was Donnie the only one that knew that? Did Gavin know that? Did Melania know that? Did they all know that? Just adds a whole nother texture to the entire picture, doesn't it? It's crazy stuff. Have a blessed day, Vieja. Um, let's see. Okay, I gotta read your comments. You guys have some good ones. Let's see. Um, I'm glad they're reopening that case. I think is the last one that I read, and I didn't highlight it, which I should have, so that I could uh, easily find it. I'm going to highlight it now and then catch up. True. Oh, I already read that. Okay. Yes, I read the Angela Chow one. I remember now. Very true, Jazz. I like your brain. Okay, I'm going to highlight that one because at the moment I was not liking the brain, but now I like it again because you like it. So it's nice when it works. It's okay when it doesn't, even if I'm, publicly displaying it not working, malfunctioning. We're all human, right? Said they were trying to avoid getting bombed and miscalculation. Oh, with the are you talking about the uh airplane that went into the Red Sea in December? Because yeah, the one at the end of March was just like it rolled off the deck of the USS Truman. That's the Navy place where they all land and take off from. There's a name for that platform beyond USS Truman. Um, and then the last one, the plane had been shot at earlier, a couple hours earlier, and then they said that they like took too hard of a turn and then it fell into the water. But yeah, I think you might be talking about the one in December, or maybe the fourth one, maybe the one back before that. Maybe they're making tunnels to their lizard people home in the earth. LOL. I'm just kidding. I know the first thing I thought was like, what do they need the tunnels for? I was thinking horrible things. And then I'm like, oh, okay, subways. Well, that's legit. And then I had to look up, are there tunnels under the University of Idaho? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. But I think there's tunnels under most cities for public works and things like that. But then they can use them for nefarious purposes as well. I'm gonna go catch the rest on replay. Bye to all. And yeah, we've been going for close to 2 hours. So I'll be wrapping up soon too. I believe more and more that BK is innocent. Well, when I saw the pictures come out, I was just like, that makes me think that he's innocent. That makes me think that they're trying to paint him into a corner. Like, I think seeing those photographs made me believe it even more because I keep an open mind. Like, it seems like he's being framed, but perhaps he is a crazed killer, or perhaps he was part of this whole conspiracy with law enforcement and the university. I don't know. I do not know. But it seems like there's a lot more to it, doesn't there? And then when they put out these creepy AF pictures of him, I mean, you could get some pretty creepy pictures of Jack D too. There's a lot of pictures where he looks just as creepy, and those are not photoshopped. So, um, let's see. Have a blessed day by Christine. Great to see you. His selfie was to show his mom he was able to button his top button. OMG, Anna Bees. See, I haven't been paying attention enough to know that that was information circling. I'm glad you shared that. Yeah, the background doesn't look accurate. The background looks like it's painted, with the shower and the tiles and all that. And the lighting in that picture, he looks like the coloring of cottage cheese. I mean, just like so pale, like yellow, kind of unalive, like just really disgusting coloring. The whole photograph, not just his skin, all of it. The coloring of the bathroom, the coloring of his shirt. I mean, it's just nuts. It's just weird. But yeah, um, that's interesting what you said, that he took a selfie to show his mom that he was able to button his top button. But why wouldn't he be able to button his top button? Is that one of his like dexterity issues, Annabees? Is that one of his dexterity issues, that he had trouble with the tiny button? I know I have trouble with tiny buttons sometimes, and I don't really have dexterity issues. It's just like I have a dress I was just wearing the other day that has a tiny button on the back, and it's really hard. And I have a few necklaces that actually have like a button, and those can be really hard. I agree. They have altered the pick. Dexterity issues, yes. Wow, that's wild. Well, I knew that they were bringing up his dexterity issues, but the fact that that would even affect his ability to button that top button, that is wild. So yeah, so then the defense would be wanting that picture to show that, and then the prosecutor would be twisting it around potentially, right? Let's see. I've got my little tiny notebook all taken care of. Let me see about my medium, my Goldilocks size notebook. I have a couple of notes in here. About Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's other victims, the one who's the artist that had uh, brain tumors twice. So I guess her most recent brain cancer, she's recovered from it again. But she was the one who hid out for 22 years in North Carolina, changed her name, quit doing art in efforts to stay hidden from Maxwell and um, Epstein. So that tells me she feared for her life, not just that she didn't want them to find her, but that she was afraid that if they found her, she'd be no more, which would make sense because her and her little sister, Annie Farmer, had gone to the police the same year that they were assaulted by the two of them on separate incidences. They weren't in their company together. And Annie was 16 at the time, so she was underage. Maria Farmer was in her early 20s, so she was not underage. But what they did to her was still SA. And they assaulted both of them. They both reported it to law enforcement. They were both told basically that nothing could be done. That was in 96. And then I think it was around 10 years later that the FBI got a hold of them, because I think they went to New York law enforcement and to the FBI, because some of this weird stuff happened in New York, but some of it happened for Annie Farmer. It happened in Ohio, in Albany or New Albany, at Wexner's property. And then and I think also at the ranch, maybe the Zorro Ranch, but that was for Maria Farmer. Did I say Annie? Annie Farmer happened at Zorro Ranch. Um, anyway, both of those women have done very well for themselves and still speak out currently. And, I'm fearful for all of the victims' safety, not just the ones that have spoken out, but even the ones who haven't, because they could speak out, right? It's just nuts. And thank goodness, I said this just once before. I got to say this a million times. Thank goodness Virginia Guiffre had that one photograph of herself with Prince Andrew. If she didn't have that one photograph, I don't think any of the three of them would have ever gotten serious charges against them. I mean, Andrew pretty much didn't. I think he had a lawsuit and then settled it out of court. He didn't have criminal charges. Again, he's royalty. and that's international. So that gets very complicated because some of it happened in New York, I think. Some of it happened in London. Pretty sure. I know some of it happened in London, but I think there were at least 3 incidences that Virginia remembers um, being pimped out to him, basically. And the first time, I think that she was paid like $15,000 at the end of the night, which is just horrifying, in my opinion, because the victim is going to feel like they're compliant. Of course, they're going to be happy about the money. And then it's just going to set them up to be vulnerable to have it happen again. She was 17 years old the first time. And what else do I want to say about all of that? It's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, that I read an interview with Virginia Guiffre where she kept saying the same sentence about the questions were about our dear leader, Donnie. And her answer, every single question was answered with something like, I don't remember him. I don't remember seeing him. I don't remember him being there, but it was all worded the exact same way. I don't remember. There was not an answer of no. There was not an answer of yes. There was not an answer of maybe. It was all the I don't remember, which to me, having worked in the courts, I don't remember is code for F off. I'm not telling you nothing. That's what I don't remember it means. I don't remember means I'm hiding the information. You might as well just say, I'm hiding the information. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. And that's also what Prince Andrew says about Virginia Guiffre. I don't remember that woman. I don't remember ever meeting that woman. I don't remember doing any of that. I don't remember nothing. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. And you can't argue like, oh no, you remember, because again, you're not in their head. How are you ever going to prove that? It's effed up. It is scary for victims everywhere. Fred's here. Hola, I was watching Ninja's latest and did not know you were on. I should say that Jules is the one who found out about the button. Oh, I got to check it out. Thank you, Anna Bees. I will totally check it out. Because, yeah, I haven't been keeping up with any of it because when I try, I just get really disgusted, like even more than ever before. I'm just like, oh, MG, just tell me when the shit show is over. But, yeah, it's not funny if he's up for the DP and he didn't do it and he's getting framed. That's not something to joke around about at all. Plus, if he didn't do it, that means that the unalivers are running free amongst the Gen Pop. And if he didn't do it and they're trying to pin it on him, then they know damn well that the real unalivers are still at large and that the public is still not safe. It's hideous. Thanks for the hot tip about Jules. I will check it out about the button. Yeah, dare I say that the Royals probably have something to do with Virginia's supposed self-deletion. So that was what I was trying to say in my video yesterday, that I believe that the reason that the UK tariff trade agreement was the first one to be made and announced is because Dear Leader was already in talks with the Royals over plotting this out, and then the aftermath, because the aftermath was severe. Like, Charles and Prince William went into an emergency meeting, and then Andrew was just MIA, and It was like a couple of nights before the Pope's funeral. So again, another good distraction to have like a world event going on, because he would have already passed away. And there was all that, you know, rigmarole about Vance visiting with the Pope, and, just a lot of distraction, an absolute truckload of distractions. So if they were in talks about it, and then they could get their tariff deal underway, and then the announcement of the tariff deal is more distraction. Like, oh, look at us, we came up with a tariff deal, woohoo! And really, it only benefits people who are buying Bentleys, Rolls Royces, and Alfa Romeos or something. I mean, it's crazy. It literally is like nothing. It's ridiculous. And then Donnie and his team are like, oh, the UK is the sixth largest market in the world. We didn't know that. It's like, well, you should have known it. You're the freaking government. You should have definitely known who ranks first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way up to 10 at least, if not the first 20, 30, 40. And you should know how many countries there are, so that you don't say that you've been negotiating over 200 deals with over 200 countries when there's only 195 countries. That was a good one, huh? But I mean, the manufacturing of the crap is just so extreme that it's like you just laugh it off. You're just like, oh, another lie. Look at that. Another pile of horse crap. What do you know? Surprise, surprise, right? Um, let's see. And then I mentioned this to you guys a while back. Musk's twins, the most recent twins, I think. I want to say the musician, what's her name? Grimes. That the last babies that she had of Musk's were twins, and that then the employee that he impregnated had twins of his DNA weeks after his wife did, because he was married to Grimes. And then the employee, I think her name starts with an S, she was the one hanging out with him the night of his silverware sculpture balancing act on his finger. And she just looked like she was in a cult, and she was just like rocking back and forth the whole time. What is her name? Do you guys remember? These women, they probably just don't think it all the way through. They think, oh, I'll get paid $15 million. I'll have these smart children. I'll have all this money. Siobhan Zillis. So, the most prominent connection to his company, specifically with the Neuralink, Siobhan Zillis. She's the mother of 4 of his children. Zillis is often seen with Musk at public events and has a special status compared to the other mothers of his children. Oh, because she's so smart like him. So, a Neuralink executive, brain computer interfacing. But doesn't she live at the compound in Texas where all the other babies and baby mamas live? So they welcomed twins in 2021, which was a surprise to some, including Grimes, who also gave birth to a child around the same time. Okay, well, I'm glad to have the correction there. So Grimes didn't have twins. She had a child around the same time. So yeah, a lot of his kids are twins and triplets. I think his first wife, Justine, after their little baby Nevada passed away, And then they had twins, and that would be, they had 6 boys, including the oldest who passed away. But then one of the first set of twins is trans. That's the one who is Vivian now, and she lives in an Asian country, and she is pretty outspoken about her dad that she thinks is a complete douchebag, because she keeps learning about these half siblings the same way the rest of us learn about them, just like randomly on the news or social media, and she's just like completely freaked out. She's the one that he says died of the woke mind virus, but he never talks about his little baby that actually passed away. I mean, and how sad that he's suffered losing a baby, but then he's like voluntarily created this treacherous relationship or lack thereof with one of his surviving children. So then after Justine had the twins, and like I said, all 6 of their children are boys, then she had triplets. And so Vivian thinks that not only that they used artificial insemination, and that's why the kids are all multiples, all the surviving kids are all multiples, but she thinks that they use gender selection as well, and that in particularly sets off her biological father, that she didn't feel like she was the gender that he had selected, basically. So he really took it personally, That's her theory. Let's see. I'm just glad to have time to go through all this stuff. After reviewing my video yesterday that I was in such a hurry with and made so many mistakes before I tried to slice my finger off, for anybody who missed it, right after I wrapped up, I tried to cut myself a piece of watermelon and almost cut a piece of my fingertip off, and then I had to go to urgent care, so then I missed the thing that I was scheduled to go do. Life. I'm lucky that I didn't cut my fingertip off. I didn't need stitches. We'll see if it heals or if it just falls off. It's kind of like the tip, like that, like diagonal, so it can probably just grow back like a lizard, because I'm one of those lizard people. but I didn't think it needed stitches, but I thought I should go to urgent care just to get it really clean and to get a professional opinion. So I did. And man, it bled a lot. It reminded me of when I stubbed my toe last year. Ugh, craziness. Again, I was in a hurry when that happened too. Like, life is so dangerous. Oh, and I started to tell you guys, but I didn't want to sidetrack myself with the story at the time, at the beginning of this video. The nurse who fixed up my finger, this was like at what's called the Little Clinic in a front of a Kroger's grocery store. She said that she had somebody with a similar injury that had like sliced off part of her finger in the freezer section in the grocery store, and that the woman did not know how she did it. Like, she couldn't figure out what had gone wrong. But I was just like blown away, because I'm always saying how like life is so dangerous. Like, grocery store shopping, dangerous. Buying frozen food, dangerous. Like, you just can't take anything for granted. And, my guess would be that she was distracted. Maybe she reached for something too quickly. I mean, that's what happened yesterday, and that's what happened with the toe last year. So we all need to stay focused. Like, being in a rush just sucks anyway, because it's stressful. And yeah, I almost didn't make the video yesterday because I knew I was going to be in a rush. And then when I saw how many mistakes I made, I was like, I almost deleted it. I was just like, oh my goodness. But like I said, I just tried to clean up and explain myself in the description part, and then just deleted a little section that was full of error. It was like a 30-second piece, nothing to worry about. Anyway, where was I? The chaos factor. Oh, remember, let's jump into the Kylie Rodney case because I don't think I've mentioned my girl's name this whole like 2-hour video yet, and I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. Remember the burial site on August 15th of 2022? The dog remains were found. So August 10th of 2022, isn't that when? No, I'm crossing my wires. 2022 was when Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced. And then it's also when Ivana fell down the stairs a month earlier than the Kylie Rodney case. I think August 10th of 2019 is when Jeffrey Little E was found in his cell. But August 15th, 2022, so there was that burial site that not only did they announce it like nationally on the news, so they just like broadcast like, oh, we found a burial site near the Prostrate campground, and then they got the parents involved, or at least Lindsay, the mom, involved, and then they were like, oh, it's just a dog. People just illegally buried their dog here. And I guess that's like a thing to like bury an animal on top of a person so that then if somebody finds the grave site, like if they have cadaver dogs and then they find the animal, then they don't think that there's going to be anything else. They think that they found the cause of the alarm, right? So yeah, going back to the Koberger thing for just a second, what kills me the most with the Koberger case with the Idaho 4 is that if he dropped that sheath accidentally, if somebody dropped that sheath accidentally, why would they have cleaned all the DNA and fingerprints off of it? Like, except for that little strand of DNA that they missed in the back of the button, the back of the snap buttonhole thing. It wasn't dropped accidentally, is what I'm saying. It was dropped intentionally. So it was either placed there by, let's say, Koberger, because he was thinking he'd plant some evidence to like send them down the wrong path, or it was planted by somebody else with his DNA on it. I don't know. It being cleaned indicates that it was planted, is what I'm trying to say. But then they always try to act like, oh, he must have accidentally dropped it when he was in his frenzy. It's like, no, if he accidentally dropped it, it would be covered in the red stuff. Come on. We get gaslit so much that we just can't even identify the gaslighting. So that's killed me consistently through the whole case. Is it's like no one is going to clean it and then accidentally drop it. If they cleaned it, it's because they were planting it. So it was cleaned, so it was planted. So was it planted by himself or was it planted by somebody else to implicate him? But it was planted by somebody. Who planted it? It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Yes, I remember the buried dog. Let's see. I missed some more good comments. Trying to keep up with the Karen Reed trial. And then the Diddy trial, you know. I know the Karen Reed one is just as twisted as the Idaho 4. It seems pretty obvious to me that she didn't do it and that she was an easy target to pin it on because she freaked out thinking that she had hit him. And so those words came out of her mouth so they could really take it and use it against her. Um, Yes, Jazz, they are running free. It's despicable that Musk disowned his own child. It is hard. I mean, I understand somebody having, um, being challenged by accepting a child that is doing something that you don't approve of, but that's just nuts, especially since he actually did lose a child that he never acknowledges. Like, that is what's really sick about it to me, is I think it's just his misdirected grieving of Nevada, of the oldest one that would be like 22, I think, if he were survived, but he passed away when he was like 3 months old. And that had to be devastating. I mean, that would be devastating with any kid, but this was their only kid. This was their first kid. I mean, and how do you ever forgive yourself? I don't think that the parents were around. I think that it happened in the care of a nanny, and it was a crib death. It was sudden infant death, with the kid sleeping, and they probably had nanny cams, so they probably knew exactly what had happened. And it could just be the simple, sleep apnea, or maybe a blanket that smothered the child. I don't know. But, how do you not kick yourself for the decisions that you made that led up to that? And then, I mean, you just don't ever get over something like that. And then to play this whole game of charades with Vivian, when he can just say, I don't approve of what Vivian's done with her life, and we don't have a relationship. But you don't have to say that Vivian died of the woke mind virus. Like, that's just absurd. I mean, this whole thing, like, now the MAGA's calling the Pope woke. I mean, when they try to be all ultra religious, they don't realize how sacrilegious they're being. It's insanity, absolute insanity. I'm probably a lizard people too. I am from Arizona, LOL. Yeah. Well, yeah, like Leisure World down in Florida, one of the communities for elderly, and people call it Lizard World instead of Leisure World. That's always been one of my favorites. Yes, I remember the supposed buried dog. Yeah. Yeah. I came across that the other day. I was like reviewing a bunch of Kylie Rodney stuff, and, because Shan's been reviewing a bunch of Kylie Rodney stuff, and I'm coming across the buried dog and the date of it, the August 15th. So that was like day 9. And yeah, they acted like, oh, we found this body. Let's get the mom out there. Like, that's some serious effery. Like, you don't need to get the family involved until Come on. Come on. Same thing with when they found the car. I mean, because what if that wasn't her car? What if that was just a car that looked like her car? And we still don't know. I mean, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of it, we don't know if it was actually her car. We don't know if it was actually her remains. I mean, it seemed obvious that it was her car and obvious that it was her remains that day when it happened. But it seems like nothing's what it seems in these cases, right? Otherwise, if things were what they seemed, we wouldn't be talking about them. It would just be kind of moving right along. Yes, Jess, they were running free. I remember the dog. Kylie was in 2022. Didn't I say 2022, or did I screw it up again? August 6th of 2022. So that was about 3 weeks after Ivana fell down her flight of stairs. And it was, I think Ivana fell down the flight of stairs about just a few weeks after Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced. I think Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced in June of 2022. Let me see. Let me get my phone. We do need to wrap up too. And yeah, June 28, 2022. So she was sentenced up to 20 years in prison. So June 28th. So then 2 weeks later is when Ivana tumbled down the stairs. And then 3 weeks after that is when Kylie goes missing. I think that's about it. I'll finish up with your comments and then just wrap it up since I've been going on for 2 hours, over 2 hours now. Oh, I'm glad that I found this. You know, back a few days ago when they were talking about the tariff deal that the US hammered out with the UK and how great it was and how great Rolls Royces are. I miss the part where Donnie says, and I've owned a lot of them. Like, that is disgusting for him to be bragging about owning a lot of Rolls Royces. I've been in one once in my life. One time, one Rolls Royce, one ride. I mean, yeah, they're cool. They're like beyond any other car I've ever seen in my life. I've owned many of them. And then, you know, here he is hammering out the deal to be gifted a $500 million luxury jumbo jet. And he's telling you can't have more than 5 pencils or 2 dolls. Like, get off, douchebag. Like, could he be any more despicable? Like, I don't understand how people that support him can support him through all of that. And like I was saying earlier, even Laura Loomer is done with him, and some of his other diehards are just like, no, this is too far. You've taken it too far. I'm out. But you know, the ones that stay in, like Pamela Bondi or Caroline with a K. I mean, those girls are making so much freaking money off of his crap. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Scott Bissent, William Barr. I mean, all these people are freaking billionaires. So, you know, they're just going to keep massaging the deal. Like, he could literally take someone's life in the middle of the day, broad daylight, in front of many witnesses, and people would rationalize it like, well, he had just cause, or oh, it was an accident, or whatever. They would figure out a way to make it completely okay. Right? I mean, he said it himself, and he was absolutely speaking the truth. Like, that's like the one true thing I think I know of him saying. Oh yeah, being Karen Reed being set up. And then there's so many of the law enforcement involved in the Karen Reed case that are involved in the Sandra Birchmore case. And that case is just awful. Absolutely awful. And then there was something recently where there was like an investigation that was done. I reported on this a few weeks ago where it was like a head to toe assessment of the Canton Police Department, and they said all good over here. Department's great, you know. the department that has a lot to do with the Karen Reed case and a lot to do with the Sandra Birchmore case, if I'm not misspeaking. But it was, I think it was the Canton Police Department. It was the police department that was central to Sandra Birchmore. So let me just look it up real quick so I don't have to clean it up in the description if I'm misspeaking. Canton PD report. Because, yeah, I think that just came out a few weeks ago. Sorry. Well, this is good to see. April 6th, a month ago, Canton residents call for change, transparency following police. Audits were released on Tuesday. Okay, so, well, I'll have to look into that. I think I might have misspoken because what I read was, so the residents are calling for change. Oh, okay, I get it. The audit said everything's fine, and the residents are like, no, it's not, I think. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I better look into that and get back to you. Because, yeah, when I cover too much ground, I definitely not so accurate, and that really bothers me. So I like to try to be accurate whenever possible. And I think that, just running through so many dates and years and months and names and places, it just gets so confusing. This is probably why you should just talk about one case at a time, right? But me and my squirrel brain, I got to bounce back and forth all over the place. So I'm going to catch up with your comments and then wrap it, give it a wrap. Let's see. Phones disappearing, messages deleted, butt dials, dog rehomed, basement floor redone. No one sees them in the yard when they're leaving. And from prosecution witness, there wasn't much snow yet. Wow. Wow. I see, I haven't been following the case, so I didn't know about phones disappearing. I didn't know about messages being deleted. I didn't know about butt dials. I didn't know about the dog being rehomed. That's kind of like NK in the Watts case getting rid of her car, allegedly, the day after the Watts family went missing. Allegedly. Basement floor is redone. Yeah, that's very sus. No one sees them in the yard when they're leaving. Okay. My favorite uncles and one of my aunts and my sister all passed in 2022. And I think that's why Kylie's case hit me so hard. Oh, I'm so sorry. Favorite uncles and one of your aunts. And your sister. Glad I caught that. That's really important. I almost missed the and my sister part. Dang, that's crazy. I am so sorry, girl. You've suffered a lot of loss. How you holding up? Yes, Sandra Birchmore case, same cops. It's despicable. I mean, her whole case is so despicable. And how many of the officers involved in Karen Reed's case raped Sandra Birchmore when she was underage? I mean, even if it was after she turned 18, she was groomed by that department. She was used by that department. I mean, Matthew Farwell and his brother both screwed her, both of them, and a whole bunch of others. It's disgusting. That poor little girl, I think she was 12 when she started being an explorer with the department, and she was 4'11". Like, she never got taller than 4'11". And she didn't have a traditional family. She'd had a lot of loss. And so I think that they thought they could get away with all of that statutory graping. And then Matthew Farwell thought he could get away with just rubbing her out. What a sick freak. And then his poor wife, for her to learn that the entire time before she even married him, he was carrying on with Sandra. And then she had 3 children by him. And then he got Sandra pregnant, because maybe she was still pregnant with one of his kids, with the third one, when because I remember Sandra being really jealous that his wife was pregnant, and she felt like she was getting cheated. And so she started like blackmailing him, basically, which is really sad that she did that. I mean, what a horrible situation. Horrible, horrible. So yeah, let's get on to a little bit of positivity and then wrap it up and call it a day. So thank you so much for being here for all of this time, Annabees. This has been lovely, my dear. And it looks like there's a few others in the house too. Thanks everybody for being here. And you know what? I had it on live chat, but then it changed to top chat. So if I missed any of your comments, that's why. And I apologize. I apologize. That's so annoying, the way it reverts to top chat all the time. So stupid. And yeah, people that aren't familiar with lives, they don't sometimes even know how to see the chat. And then when they see the chat, they don't realize that they're only going to see the top chat if they don't hit that button, because it always reverts to top chat. Like, that is one of the dumbest functions of the YouTube that I know of. This is ridiculous. They need to cut that crap out. I should email them, right? Let's see. Yes, Sandra, I'm okay. I have to keep on no matter what. Right. And yeah, keeping busy can be so therapeutic. I mean, it's not like a mindless distraction. It's a necessary function. Just having tasks and goals, being goal oriented is so important. You know, if the goal is just to go to the grocery store or to cook dinner, or to get out of bed. I mean, when you're having a really rough time. But yeah, you know, if you have something like your work or school or a hobby or a group, yoga, you know, just something that you can get involved in that can give you structure and purpose. Just, I think one of the hardest things for people to deal with when they're going through a grieving process is